Hi there, it's me, Teacher Mike from phuketpals.org. Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to show you some of the most common grammar errors that students make in IELTS writing task 2. Okay, we're going to run through, have a little bit of a chit chat, and let's see if you can try and look out for these things in your own writing and try and cut them out as much as you can. Number one, countable and uncountable nouns. Students make mistakes with these all the time. It's very, very difficult to remember which nouns are countable and which are uncountable. The most common errors I see in IELTS writing task 2 are with the following nouns: traffic, education, knowledge, money, happiness, research, and advertising. Okay, these nouns are all uncountable. But very often students try to make them countable and they make mistakes. So just be very aware of these nouns, make a note of them, and just make sure they are singular in your essays. Number 2, spelling. Spelling in English is tricky, there's no doubt about that. But the most difficult words, the words I see the most commonly misspelled over the years in IELTS are words just a bit like these ones here. Accommodation, for sure. I think if you line up 100 native speakers of English and ask them all to spell accommodation, you might get 50% of them correct there. You get this double C, a double M, and it's a tricky word to spell. Government in here as well. Very often students spell it without the N. Environment, again, you see it without the N here. Through and though. Okay, through, as in to go through something, and though, as in, I like your idea, though I don't think it's that conclusive. Okay, so through and though. There, very often this is used incorrectly. Different, often you see it with one F. Believe, you get the I and the E mixed up. Commercial, very often with one M, or the CIAL bit spelled incorrectly. Percentage, society, until, students often spell it with two L's. Which, nowadays, okay, Asian students very often spell it without the S. Advertisement, occurred, definitely, and then to and to. Okay, so these are the most common that I've seen over the years in IELTS writing task 2. Of course, we all have the particular words that we find difficult, and we don't really know why we find them difficult. Just as I've said to you before on this course, you need to have a section in your notebook or another tab on your spreadsheet in which you make a note of words you often spell incorrectly. Now, how do you know what these words are? Well, just look at your feedback from your tutor on your essays. There will be certain words that come up again and again and again that you've spelt incorrectly. Make a note of these and then try and overcome whatever is stopping you spelling this word correctly. Go old school. There's nothing for learning spelling, there's nothing that beats writing out a word 20 or 30 times. If that word is accommodation for you, write it out 20 or 30 times in your notebook until you can remember it. Again, no shortcuts with spelling. You just have to isolate the words you find tricky and practice, practice, practice. Also, the more you read, the better your spelling becomes as well. So keep extensively reading your news articles and everything else. Okay, so next, prepositions after adjectives and nouns. So prepositions that students often make mistakes with, or of, or in, or about, and at. Just be very careful that your prepositions are in the right place. And if you want to if prepositions are giving you a lot of trouble, I strongly advise going back to a grammar book that you might use in an English language school. Something like one of the Murphy. I recommend the Murphy grammar book. You don't need to have an IELTS. There are lots of books like IELTS Grammar and Grammar for IELTS. You don't necessarily need to have one of these ones. One of the old Murphy grammar ones is plenty. And just have a look at the preposition chapter or chapters and just practice Go back to basics and practice, practice, practice. The same with the tenses. If tenses are giving you difficulty, go back to not an old necessarily, but go back to one of the grammar books such as the Murphy book and just have a bit of a review of all the tenses. Also, when you're reading your news articles, keep tenses in mind as well. Sometimes it makes sense to have just go through a news article and underline all of the tenses and have a think about why those tenses are used at that particular place. I find that works well for students, especially students who are jumbling tenses all the time. They need to be aware of why tenses are used and not just simply guess this is when it might be. Number 5, articles. I see that this is a problem for students way up to advanced level and beyond. The English language uses articles in a very confusing way for many. Again, I recommend printing out a news article or having it on your computer and just having a look at when articles are used and thinking to yourself, why are they used here? And then again, if articles are a massive problem for you as well, go back to the Murphy grammar book, which I recommend, and do some back to basics work on articles. Commas, same thing. Commas are often a problem. Again, there aren't that many comma rules. It's worth going on to Google and typing in comma use in English, just going over the basics again, and then just really trying to apply this within your own essay writing. As well, go back to the Murphy grammar book for the comma chapters if you need to, and you'll correct yourself slowly. Again, noun verb agreement and subject verb agreement as well. Just make sure everything's agreeing in your essay, and if it's a big problem, go down the Murphy grammar book route, or just go down, look at your news articles and circle any kind of agreement in there that you see, kind of analyze it, see what's going on. Okay, so they're the main grammar errors in the IELTS test, and you do need a combination to improve your grammar, you do need a combination of extensive reading from quality sources and practice from grammar books like the Murphy one I've mentioned numerous times. Okay, also if you just Google things like that, if you Google article worksheet or commas worksheet, you'll get there's lots of things online that you can use to brush up your skills. Okay, so find out what your mistakes are. Okay, find out what they are from your essays marked by your tutor, and then start a massive campaign to zero in on these problem areas, and through extensive reading and also through using grammar books, textbooks, just try and iron out these problems and you'll raise your IELTS grammar score. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. I'm Teacher Mike from phuketpals.org. I'll see you for the next video. Thank you.